Hi friends, I did promise you a tour next and it is coming. Now it depends on the length of this video, but this is the last day of 2025 and I wanted to do a roundup of 2025 for you, particularly if you're new to this channel, so roughly know what is on the channel and what I've been doing and how that can help you with your garden, particularly if you're gardening in a small space or an urban setting but want to grow a lot of food for you and your family. Introduce myself and backtrack to the things that worked really well this year and the things that perhaps didn't work as well. There was much more positives than negatives. So that will be our video for today. So I'm in Victoria in the Yarra Valley and we have had a pretty mild entry into summertime. We're in early summer and we have had some pretty hot days, but we've had a lot of cool days, and today we've got a really nice cool day again. But in saying that, the summer vegetables are waiting for the heat, and every time we get the sun, off they go, and then when it turns cold again they kind of hesitate. But in saying that, I'm happy to report that the garden is looking amazing. I haven't got a lot of problems, and summertime can bring a lot of problems into the garden. We can have issues with pests and disease and that. So far it's not too bad. I did tend to the grapes today. I bagged the grapes and it was time to put covers on it because the grapes were fleshing right out. And then there's a period of time between that and them ripening where the birds hone in on them. So I was doing that and noticed I've got a bit of mite damage coming in. So I will, not the first time this year, because I have had to apply something to my apple tree for the mealy bugs. We get the little fluffy bums on the apple tree. So I think in February I took to the apple tree once or twice to deal with them, but I haven't had to spray at all this year since then. But I will be getting some isopropyl alcohol, mixing it with water and giving that a little bit of a spray, I think, just to cover myself. It is fully loaded with grapes and I'm not sure. Look, those mites can get everywhere, so I might do that. But otherwise, I'm happy to report that the way I have been growing for the past 3 years has been pretty amazing. The beneficial insects, the soil, everything is thriving here. I have got every conceivable predatory insect that we can have. I have the bees. I have, I have a pretty active ecosystem going here. I still get a little bit annoyed with the ants carrying aphids up into plants and things like that, but everything seems to be manageable or negligible. So that is one good thing. If you do follow my channel, you will know that I try to really be very careful about what I put on my plants and in my soil, and I avoid at all costs any synthetics and chemical additives or protocols to protect plants. So I prefer to work with nature as much as I can, and I'm trying to do that as best as I can. So I entered this year doing a major catch-up with my whole property because there had been a section of time where I had to step away from the garden for quite a while. And I had the situation where I was rethinking about where I was going to grow, where I was going to start. I was going to narrow things down and start smaller in places, get on top of that and have that managed before I expanded out. Now, interestingly enough, doing it that way, I've ended up expanding way beyond what I had before and much more than I ever thought. So it does pay to start in an area, get that under wraps, get that area going and planted and thriving before you move to the next and the next, and that way you're not scrambling to work too many areas in the one time. And if you are like me and you're doing it pretty much on your own, that's even more important. So we had several areas that were just overrun with weeds. One was the archway area. Another was the wire bed, what we call the wire bed area, where we've got a chicken pen that's used as a covering. It's elevated up and it's used for a covering over a bed. This year my husband installed beds in that area, and it has been a very productive area for growing. And it's moved from all of the cooler season crops now into the summer, and we've got lots of tomatoes and things growing in there and thriving, and the soil has been improving. And I've had to start with fresh soil in there. I had some issues with the soil, which unfortunately a lot of us are finding when we buy in soil now, that there can be issues with the soil. But I've done a few amendments, and I've shared that with you on my channel, what I did to the soil to change that without having to dig it all out and start afresh. And now it looks like it is going really well. So that is one area, and an area that it's kind of the last area, large area of my property. That area is my studio side, where my art studio is, and we managed to actually get that going. And my husband cut down a massive pear tree in that area, and now it is almost finished. I've got a little bit more weeding in one corner to do as from, you know, stepping into the new year, but it's all the soil's been dealt with, it's all under mulch, and it's all, a lot of it is planted out. Probably 80% of it is planted out. There's still some room for putting more plants in there, the more the merrier. But it is actually looking really beautiful too. And it's an area now that I don't look out my kitchen window at pretty much a tree and not much else, because it was overshadowing everything and shading everything out, to an area that is just delightful to look at. It's really pretty little garden area, and it's interesting and lovely form and shapes in there. So as an artist, I really appreciate that. So that has been done this year, and that's a massive thing. Those areas are massive achievements, you know, and there is a couple of other areas that I will be developing in the new year, and that will be fun to look at that. And I'm going to do some bale gardening in there, some pea straw gardening, but all the other beds are pretty much taken care of, and I've finally got on top of the arbour area, which needed to be done for the summer climbers. That is a area that a lot of the climbers take advantage of, or I take advantage of it for the summer climbers. 2025 saw a few things like a small challenge that I had in the garden, or things I wasn't sure how to deal with better. I dealt with those things, like for instance the choco vine. We had a choco vine growing for a few years, and it finally took off. It took a little while to get going, and it took off up the neighbour's tree, and which wasn't ideal. So I built a beautiful little arch area, a little arbour again. I love arches. I could have them everywhere. Well, I have got them everywhere actually, but I could fit more in if I could. And that is actually really sweet, and it's a lovely setting to look at too. So this year in 2025 I did focus on the aesthetics of my garden, still doing things pretty much on the cheap, but looking at little sections of the garden and beautifying it with plants, mainly all plants and supports. So those things have been put forward in this year so that I can walk into the garden and feel that sanctuary space around me. And that's been really wonderful to achieve that this year. So we have got a few little settings that were set up with statues and arches and arbours, and structures have been finished this year that have helped us manage, or helped me manage, climbing vegetables easier, and also beautified space. So that has been achieved this year also. It also was the anniversary, 3rd year anniversary of my YouTube channel. And can I say, in that time, I have supported a lot of other YouTubers and a lot of other Aussie YouTubers, and in that time I haven't actually had that much support myself. There has been you know, some support that has come my way. I give a shout out to Rachel from Bush Edge Homestead. She is a great one for supporting other channels with comments and that. But apart from Rachel, there hasn't been a lot of support from other channels until my friend Marty from Marty's Garden reached out to me, and he has been amazing. So I want to actually dedicate part of this video to sharing a little bit about Marty and his channel and about his Garden Creator Hub. Now, Marty has been a YouTuber and he's a professional horticulturist, have been for nearly 30 years. He's been a YouTuber for 15 years. He has got a decent sized channel on here. He's an Aussie up in Sydney, and he's a great guy. And he has become, he's become a friend over recent times, and he has been very supportive of my channel, even interviewing me on his channel. And you know, we support each other in our gardening and YouTubing stuff. So, but Marty has recently, a few months ago, created a Garden Creators Hub over on School. Now, this is a free group, so if you like social media, if you don't like social media, because it certainly has a lot of drawbacks, you might find a group over there being a much more appealing option for gardening. Now, having a garden group run by somebody who knows what they're talking about is great, because there is a lot of gardening groups even on Facebook with full of misinformation, guesses. You know, people ask for advice and all these people give guess answers, and there's a lot of misleading information there, and there's a lot of people projecting a lot of poisons and chemicals on everybody and saying, you know, spray this, spray that. The first sign of a bug, it's, you know, everyone brings out the armour. But in there it's completely different. In there is no ads. You get all the notifications from anybody who has responded to you. You can see every single post by going to the home, you know, the home section, and that's all you're getting. You're not getting ads, interruptions, just doom scrolling rubbish. Any interruptions at all. So you're able to actually spend your time well with people that have the same interests as you, in a community that is monitored to keep it nice and friendly. And you've also got Marty's expertise in there. There is a paid option in there that he offers too, which I'm part of that. And he offers some courses in there for free, but there's also a lot of really, you know, premium, more expertise courses in there. So I have been doing that. So part of this year I did that, and I have done all of his courses, and one was for the worm farming, and it's surprise, surprise, I actually thought there was only so much you could learn about worm farming, but there is a lot more to it than I realised once I did that. And so my worms that were pretty happy before are pretty ecstatic now. So there's that. So if there'll be information down in the comments if you want to jump over it for yourself and take a look. So that's another thing that I did this year, and to do with the garden and helping create what I'm doing here, and helping back what I'm doing here to do it even better. So how much food did we get out of the garden this year? Now, I do keep a diary, and in my diary I put down every day what I harvested. You know, it might be 5 sprigs of this, you know, sometimes I weigh, sometimes I say a handful. So I do all of that, and that gives me a rough idea of what's been harvested to look back on the next year, so that I can go, okay, that's what should be coming out of my garden, or was coming out of my garden. And I can see improvements, or where things are going wrong or different. And I can honestly say I have grown so much food over this 12 months. I'm really delighted with how much has come out, particularly over those winter months where I didn't even have much at all last year. through that cold spell and that. And we had consistent vegetables coming out of our garden. My husband and I have hardly bought anything from the vegetable shop. We do buy a bit of fruit because fruit can be seasonable, but we have saved there, but also we know that we are digesting, we're digesting things that are not loaded with chemicals or being raised on chemicals. And 2, they're in soil that all those nutrients that our plants are uptaking are actually being digested by us, and we're getting better value out of our plants, the nutrition load. And 3, we've got the option of going out there, like for now, my cucumbers are coming on. We've got lots of cucumbers growing now. We can literally go out and pick a cucumber to make the salad, to put it on our plate. We don't have to put it in the fridge, have it sitting in there. The nutritional load deteriorates day by day as it's stored. There's none of this. It's being stored in a warehouse, then it's been shipped, and like all that time it's been travelling, then gone to the shop, then brought it home, then sat in the fridge for a day or 2. All of that is gone. You can just go out to the garden, pick the beans straight away, pick the zucchini straight away, pick the cucumber straight away, bring it inside, cook it, eat it straight away. So that is the thrill of having your own fruit and veggies. And not only that, the taste in certain things are definitely different and definitely better. So we have just finished picking the young berries for the season. They're just finishing. There's a couple left on it that I've left for the birds, but pretty much they're done. That's a job I have to now get to, cutting those canes back and training the new ones and deciding which ones to keep. So, but those berries we got off that one plant that I let grow, we got 7 to 8 kilos of young berries off that, which was amazing. We've got some in the freezer too, and we like to eat them fresh, not cook them up with sugars and that, just to eat the raw produce fresh. So we ate a lot of fresh, and then the rest are in the freezer. So that's a favourite with my hubby. Now, summertime vegetables. Fortunately, I went with my gut and I planted and sowed earlier than a lot of people recommend, earlier than the groups on Facebook recommend, and I went early, and I thought I can always grow more, stagger it out. If the frost takes some stuff away, I've got backups, do it that way. Now, fortunately, doing that, I got plants in the ground early. Some sat there and some took off. But what happened was I found that a lot of the summer vegetables, with the exception, so the exception was the loofah, right? That is definitely temperamental with cold. But pretty much all the vegetables that I put in early or started early, they adjusted to the weather. They climatised to the weather, and they're very, very strong plants. And I've ended up with earlier crops on some of them. And I'm seeing a lot of people complaining about the weather mucking up their stuff, hasn't grown, hasn't fruited, complaining about the bees and all the rest of it. Well, I have had plenty of bees because I do keep flowers all year round, so the bees have something all year round, so they're always here and they know they can come here. But also having those early plants in, I really do believe they climatised, so that was my advantage. So I'm happy to report that I think I'm going to have a bumper, particularly a bumper, well, probably a few different things, but I know that tomatoes, I've never got enough tomatoes, and this year I think I'm going to have stacks and stacks of different tomatoes. But not just that, I'm growing a lot of other vegetables for the first time really, really well. So my eggplants are booming, that they are looking amazing, looking like lots of flowers on them. Looks like I'm going to have a lot of eggplants. The cucumbers are doing much better than they've ever done before. the watermelons. There's just so many things in the garden now, and there's some unusual plants too that I've put in, like the tromponcinos I'm growing again. They're actually doing better than last time too. So there's a lot of things that are doing better and growing better, I think, because of the soil and the timing. Over the 3 years I've watched, observed, taken notes, and then worked out my areas of my garden and the different areas of my garden and what grows best when, and being very observant about the volunteers too. As soon as I see volunteer tomatoes pop up in my garden, that tells me tomatoes are okay in my garden. And I listen to nature more than I listen to the protocols on Facebook or, you know, other places. So it's good to take in professional advice, and I do that, but you do need to watch your plants and observe it. So I've spent a lot of time in the garden this year, more than previous years, and I have enjoyed the time in the garden. And I've been more attentive and more regular in the garden, doing my Power Hour Gardening Challenge. If you don't know about that, that's a challenge that I run on my channel. I run it for myself, and I invite you into it, but basically so that we get more done, I set the timer for an hour and see what is done in that hour, and it's amazing how much gets done when you think like that. And that's become a system and a habit now, and so I'm pretty much out all the time doing that sort of thing and getting little bits and pieces done in the garden. It could be just a little bit, but all those little bits add up to massive production, and takes the pressure off the amount of work a garden can be, and makes it a grazing situation where you're grazing the work rather than slogging it all out. So my last thing I want to share with you before you'll move into the next video, which will be the tour. So I will set that up, so it's only a few days away. You'll be able to see it very soon, but I want to talk to you about the mulching. Now, I do mulch a lot, and mulch is a big part of why the soil is improving, and a big part of why I can manage the garden, because it suppresses weeds. So mulching, I've always pretty much mulched with either sugarcane mulch or the bush mulch, the roadside bush mulch. Now, I did a lot of that mulching, and I won't go into it right now, but I did a lot of that mulching. But one thing I did observe this year for the first time, I have used pea straw in the past, but I noticed the difference between the sugarcane mulch and the pea straw was pretty dramatic as far as moisture retention. I found the pea straw being a better insulator, lasts a bit longer and protects the plants better. So I'll be moving forward, if the pea straw I can get it more affordably, because it can be pretty expensive. Pea straw will be used much more in my garden moving forward, and I have used quite a bit of it lately, and I have noticed that the plants respond really well to it. In fact, I've had a couple of plants that the roots got a little bit exposed, the soil kind of washed away a bit from it, and so I've topped up a little bit of soil and put the pea straw on it, and those plants have just taken off as a result. So that is that. Now, it is school holidays, so that is the last of it, because the next door neighbour's just come out. So thanks again. This was a talking head video today, and it's not normally this. I'm normally taking the garden, but come back and see the tour, and Happy New Year. I will see you in 2026. Hope your garden is thriving and that food is coming in the door for you. But thanks for those who particularly were faithful to this channel, commenting, always following the videos and keeping me company in here. Bless you. I'll see you in 2026. Bye for now.